David Grosso here with two of my new friends here, Owen Teague and Michael Susi. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Good.
And why are you here today?
Because we got a movie coming
Yeah.
out, and we want to tell you guys about it called Every Day.
Really?
It's based on a really popular New York Times best-selling novel by David Levitan, also called Every Day.
Really? And you're the director, evidently.
I am.
So you ordered this guy around because he was an actor on the movie.
Yeah,
He was
he's
a
good at
pleasure.
he's good at ordering people around.
He's an expert manager. I
he's
heard
an
you guys talking
expert
about
orderer,
his
yes.
strategy not too long ago.
Yeah, no, he's got it down. It was really fun to work with him.
So you played Alexander and you played A. So how does that work?
Yes.
How do you play two people at the same time?
Well, you look at. I'm going to directly steal a quote from A here. You look at what makes each person the same and what makes each person different, the two characters, and then you kind of play that difference. And the challenge with this one was like, A, I think is or Alexander is as similar to A as a human being who stays in one body for its entire life can be, if that made any sense.
Well, we should tell them what the premise of the movie
Yeah, we
is.
should,
The premise,
I guess.
It's a romance. It's a love story about a traveling soul or entity named A who wakes up in the body of a different teenager each day.
Right.
And one day, A wakes up in the body of this boy named Justin, and in the course of the first 24 hours, falls in love with Justin's girlfriend. Named Rhiannon, and then that is played by an Australian actress named Ngalari Rice. And the next day, A wakes up as a girl, and the next day, A wakes up as a boy again. The next day, A is black and transgendered and Asian, and it's all different races, all different gender identities, and one of those is Alexander.
Yes.
Wow. So how did you
Yeah.
keep track? Was it hard? Because in the sense that you kind of have to know, like, okay, we're doing A, but in this body, or when finally A transitions and becomes sort of permanent?
Well, that's really the question of the film is can A do that or not, and are there consequences if A can? It was challenging. I mean, it's challenging to have 15 different actors playing one character and keep that as a unified whole. And we shoot films out of order, so the combination of not shooting in continuity and having so many different actors across the spectrum of one character and keeping that smooth was definitely the challenge.
So a very busy set then.
Very and very fast shooting schedule.
Yeah, we went fast, and I mean it's difficult as an actor too because like you don't know what everyone else is bringing to the character, so you have to kind of go off of him, and then also what the book gives you and what the script gives you, and kind of live everybody else's experiences as a for yourself without actually doing them on screen.
So let's talk about the book a little bit, because you said the book is a New York Times bestseller. When you guys were first approached about this project, you read the book, of course.
Yes, I hadn't read it prior to coming onto the project, but as soon as I read the script and became interested, the first in making it into film, the first thing I did was go back and read the source material.
Yeah. And what did you think of the book? Did you feel like you really absorbed what the author really wanted in the film? Because a lot of times there's a gap between the book and the film.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of screenings and Q&As with David Levitan, who's the author of the book, and he was extremely generous and supportive in the entire process of making the film in pre-production, and then he visited during production, and then been together on this publicity tour, and it's got to be nerve-wracking to have, like you said, to have somebody else sort of take over your material and translate it. But David, like I said, has been very generous and supportive, and the movie is really similar to the book in its spirit, but there's actually a real fundamental difference in that David wrote the book from A's perspective. It's all in the first person, point of view of A, and Jesse Andrews, who's the screenwriter, for the film, changed the protagonist to being Rhiannon, and how she goes through the experience. And so, I mean, A is completely present throughout, but it's a different point of view.
Right.
So, and Owen, you're 19, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What was it like being so young working on a project like this? I guess everyone was young on the set because everyone played a teenager.
Yeah,
rather.
everyone. Yeah,
So a bunch of your peers were on set with you then.
Yes. Yeah, everyone was young, but the thing that's cool about playing A is that like A has this greater understanding of the world that someone who's 19 might not necessarily have and probably doesn't. So it was like the book helped a lot with that, with reading the words of someone who's experienced more of life and playing a character who's literally been everybody. I mean, not everybody, but experienced all the different kinds of humanity. And you actually talked about casting and how that.
Yeah, in the casting process, I really sought to cast actors who I perceived to have an old soul, and I think there's a continuity in their eyes, that kind of quality that I saw in all of them. And actually, you just raised a point that I never really thought about. But because the script was written from Rhiannon's point of view, but we had the source material from David's book, all from A's point of view, it really did inform all of the actors in a way. In a way that if the book had been also from Rhiannon's point of view, we wouldn't have had. So that's actually that's
so on that same note, how did you get all of the different actors playing A on the same page, or did everyone put a new spin on A? It's one of our audience questions.
That's a great question. No, it wasn't. It was more similar than different. The first thing, as I mentioned, was to cast people who I thought had a similarity internally.
The fire in the eyes.
Yeah, truly, it came from the eyes. Sorry, whoever, I just whacked the microphone. And then the second thing was that a lot of the actors didn't even get to meet each other.
That was another audience question. Did they get a chance to meet
not
each
all
other?
of them. I mean, Angauri Rice, who plays Rhiannon, obviously worked with all the different A's, but she was really the only one. But then anyone that worked in the high school, were overlapping schedule wise. But I asked all the actors to read the entire script as if they were playing A in all the iterations and versions of A, even if they weren't going to actually be filming those scenes, so that they had that continuity. So to not just read it like from for the narrative or from your headspace, but really read it as if you were going to be playing those scenes or had played those scenes up to where your part started and where it continued after that.
Yeah.
So you playing the role of A, someone who's black, white, Asian, gay, straight, transgender, etc. Did that teach you any life lessons?
Yeah, I mean, the book as a whole teaches you a lot, because I guess it's sort of speculative in one regard, because it's one person writing this story about someone who's experienced so much, but you really kind of have to put yourself in the shoes of all these different types of people, and I think one thing I found, people are really, we're all human. We're all very similar.
Of course.
But based on what group you fall into, there are subtle differences which A knows about. So that was really interesting to kind of explore.
Yeah, A's a very empathetic character, and because of A's adventures of having experienced so many different people, because A has A's own consciousness, and A also can access the memories of the people that A inhabits on that day. But the longer A is in the body, the more they know about that person. He doesn't all just flood in immediately. It sort of trickles in over the course of the day.
A has to access.
Yeah, so A's both accessing that person. A's credo is to try to live that day for that person without interfering. And in the course of the narrative, that goes a little off the rails.
A little bit,
and that's really what the story's about.
So this is a question for you. Talking about turning a book into a film, a lot of people are interested in that. Not just for this. What do you think the lessons learned are from this for nearly any project that you turn from a book into a film?
Well, it's a great question, and I will first say that I think the least successful adaptations of book into film are the ones that adhere closest to the book, in terms of like a literal this happened and that happened and this happened and that happened kind of a way. And the best ones are the ones that embrace the spirit and the experience of reading it more from like the heart as opposed to the head. And then when you what you need to do in film to tell a good story and what you need to do on the page to tell a good story aren't necessarily the same thing. So if you're taking the essence of the book and the essence of the story, and like I said, the experience of reading the book, and then kind of putting all those ingredients in and then mixing them up differently, that's what I think creates the best version of book adaptation for film.
Yeah.
And by the way, someone loves your shirt, Owen.
Oh.
We took off
Thank
his
you.
jacket, to make it look better. What do you think the biggest challenges was filming a book with so many characters? Anyone? I mean, inherently,
Making
there's
it-
a lot of people involved,
Yeah.
obviously.
No,
Yeah.
it's the continuity. I think
Yeah.
it would really, the idea, if some actor came in, like you were asking, and put like some real spin on the character, it would make it difficult for us to, I think it would take us out of the film at that point.
Yeah.
And so it's embracing the differences that body has and that
Right.
person's life, the physical manifestation of that body.
Do you give away
but
like
not,
little cues? Are there certain cues that the audience is clued into?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's
Like
two,
a mannerism.
Yeah, there's
or,
some
you know.
mannerisms.
Well,
Talks
I mean,
about, right?
the way that, there's something that the A does when, not the A, just A, does when A wakes up is looks at the hands first, because that tells you so much about,
Yeah, of course.
who you're in. It's a weird way to put it.
Yeah,
yeah.
like there's a lot that the hands can reveal, and then a lot of times, A checks out the body in the mirror, and the selfie in the camera.
Yeah.
And then also
So there's like a
bit of
reveal in every scene.
There's a reveal,
Yeah.
like
Yes,
every time
okay.
where it's fun because the
Who is this
audience is
person?
really kind of waiting to see what the next version of A is going to be
Right,
because
yeah.
it's constantly changing. And then also there's little kind of a really beautiful gesture that
yeah.
Jesse has written into the script of this sort of like intimate moment where A tucks Rhiannon's hair behind her ear multiple times, and we as the audience, it helps tip us off to what's going on, even though Rhiannon might not really understand.
So let's talk a little bit about A and Rhiannon and their love. What do you think initially attracted them together?
Well, it was very important to me. There's a scene where Rhiannon comes up to who she thinks is her boyfriend, Justin. I mean, it's Justin's body, but A's inhabiting Justin's body for that day, and proposes that they go and play hooky. And it was very important to me in that scene that actually, this is actually a really great example of adaptation, because in the novel, because A is the protagonist of the novel, A suggests they go to the beach and play hooky that day. But in the film, because Rhiannon's the protagonist, it was actually really, really important that she was driving the narrative. So she is the one that initiates the idea. And it's important in that scene for me that A wasn't falling in love with Rhiannon because of love at first sight, because then that became a physical reason to love somebody.
Of course.
And so it's the course of that day, the totality of what happens that day, where they play hooky and they go to the aquarium and they share this
She
day.
opens up.
And she
Yeah.
opens. She feels so comfortable with Justin, but it's not Justin, that she tells her boyfriend, or she thinks is her boyfriend, things that she's never even told her best friend. Yeah. And it's that process of them opening up to each other that really makes, or her opening up to A, that makes A cross the line and actually kiss her as A as opposed to as Justin. And that's really the moment where it all crystallizes.
Yeah.
So what was it like filming? How long does it take? Like, can you give us a little bit of a background into, how that works, what a typical day is like, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I mean, every movie's different.
Yeah,
Well, in this
but
specific
there's
instance.
I don't know how it works on your end, but as an actor, you get there at whatever your call time is, and you kind of get into the head of the character and go over what's happening that day, and you have to kind of piece it all into the timeline of the movie and figure out.
It's all filmed out of order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your scenes are not. You can shoot the last scene first sometimes, and that's really jarring. But
Actually, I think you did. Or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I
really
did.
challenging.
How long are your days, Michael, usually?
Well, I would say 12 to 14 hours a day. And Gallery Rice, who plays Rhiannon, is actually only 16 years old, so there's only a certain there's like
Right.
rules
Child
of
labor
child
laws.
labor laws that
Yeah.
you can't bend. Like with adults, you can just keep paying them more and
Right.
they'll just keep working, but you can't do that with people who are underage. Thank God. And that was an additional challenge because we only had a 25 day schedule initially, and so there were times where like she'd literally be just yanked off set. Like we're done. Like you've hit the number of hours she can work, and she's gone. And so sometimes, rarely, I would shoot both characters, and then shoot her, and then she'd leave, and then I'd shoot the other actor.
That's hard.
It's definitely
I think
hard.
That happened to me once. Where I
Yeah.
had to just look at a point and just
Yeah.
pretend she was there. Yeah.
But actors are great at it, especially these days with green screen and Marvel movies where you're acting kind of in a
pretend.
vacuum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it's about 12, 14-hour day, and it was a 25-day schedule. It was
Wow, that's fast.
It was really rapid. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's it like being a young actor and being invited to be part of a project like this?
I mean, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
This is what you work for, of course.
Right, yeah, this is what you want to do. I mean, this is like, it's all kind of surreal because it's just something that you love to do, and then when you actually get to do it for a living, it's incredible. I've been acting since I was like 4, so it's a lot.
So some old Toys R Us commercials, we can see you in them?
I don't think so, unless I have just wiped them from memory. But
some Nick at Night, stuff like that?
yeah,
Okay.
no, but no, but I mean, it's exactly what you want to be doing, and so it's wonderful.
So this is an exceptionally young cast here that we have,
Yes.
as dictated by the storyline. Is that very differently from your past projects, Michael?
Yeah, and I haven't worked with a cast of teenagers before. I mean, I've did a movie with Drew Barrymore and Jessica Lange, and I did a movie with Rachel McAdams and Channing Tatum, and I think I had some. I think in Grey Gardens we had a young girl, but in only one scene, but who played young Jackie O. But no, this was the. I had worked with cats, so that helped. No, I'm kidding. a lot of cats.
Are a
lot
like
of cats.
teenagers.
Yeah, like they're always running around. No, it was different. Actually, honestly, it wasn't any different. I mean, everybody was completely professional. Again, it goes back to that old soul thing. It was not like wrangling kids. It was very much felt like working with adults. It was it's a very sophisticated story, and so the people who were attracted to the story and who I was attracted to bringing into it are all really multidimensional souls, people, and that made it for a really great set environment.
Yeah.
So this is the marketing part of this. When does this premiere? What can we look forward
soon.
to?
Yeah,
So
like
soon.
2 days. Friday.
Friday, February 23rd, it'll be in theaters nationwide in
Yeah.
the U.S. and Canada. I think it's April 5th in Australia. I heard in Gowrie
It's always
say today.
staggered abroad,
It's
huh?
weird.
Yeah,
I don't know
distribution
why.
is different. It's rare that a movie gets a day and date release all over the world. Usually just like kind of big matrixy kind of things. But yeah, each territory decides what else is in their landscape. So it has different release dates, and those things I think are becoming available on the internet. But February 23rd, tickets are already available for you can purchase them now, and we're excited to share it.
Yeah. So why should we see it? Give us the elevator pitch. You're stuck in an elevator.
And
we start
strangers around.
sharing with each other
It's-
what we do. The typical American question of, "Hey, what do you do?" Why should we see this film?
It has a beautiful message. It's
And that message
about
is what,
about empathy and loving people for who they are at their core, and that's something that we need, especially right now.
Yeah, we do. How about you, Michael?
I think Owen hit it on the head. It's a movie about loving someone, learning to love for who someone is and not what they are, and it is this idea of really transcending our physical manifestation and loving people for their soul. And this is a time where we need that kind of understanding.
Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful note to end on, gentlemen. Thank you for coming on to Bookstr. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Absolutely.